So thank you for sitting down here with Ryan and I, and just stepping up to the line and having a conversation.
Thanks for having me.
You're well. It is our honor. You are risk adverse, as Ryan said just earlier, and so this is risky, but it's important. So for people who might be listening, and I'm one of these people, tell me about Line 5.
Yeah, so Line 5 is a 30-inch diameter pipeline. It's about 650 miles long. It actually starts right here across the border in Superior, Wisconsin, and delivers crude oil and natural gas liquids to markets downstream. So again, it starts here in Superior. It actually ends in Canada, in Sarnia, Canada, so just kind of north of Detroit across the river. But it does feed 10 regional refineries. 5 here in the U.S. side and 5 on the Canadian side. Unique thing about Line 5 in our system is, like I said, it transports crude oil and natural gas liquids. Natural gas liquids are generally refined into propane. So Line 5 does provide a lot of propane to the Michigan markets, actually over into Sarnia, Ontario, and then that propane is refined, if you will, or extracted from the natural gas liquids, and it comes back into southeast Michigan. So Line 5 is, I'll say, most known for providing about half of the propane that Michigan uses, as an example.
Okay.
Michigan is quite a high per capita use. I think they're number 1 or number 2 in the country as far as per capita propane use. So it is a vital conduit, not just for crude oil, to feed our refineries and get made into whatever goods, transportation fuels, jet, diesel, fertilizer, all of our plastics and modern conveniences that are petroleum derivatives, but also the natural gas liquids propane story is a little bit unique, if you will, as it comes to pipelines here in the upper Midwest.
So, Paul, I'm curious. I always say, I don't know if you guys have ever watched like Steven Seagal movies. I'm a child of the 80s, so I've seen them all. But you ever watch, it's a movie called Under Siege, and Tommy Lee Jones is in it, and all throughout the movie, he's like, time is money, time is money. And so I'm always saying time is money. And so you're sitting here investing your time. You're sitting here with Ryan. And so for people who are listening, why is that investment important to you in Better in Our Backyard? Why do you feel, whether it's money, whether it's time, either or, why is that investment important?
It's a good question. I think I'd boil it down best is that it's easy to say no to stuff, or it's easy to be against something.
Yeah.
But an organization like Better in Our Backyard kind of flips that on its head, right? It takes what people are, no, we don't want it, we don't need it, not in my backyard, but actually, no, we do need these products. We need to say yes. We need to do it safely. We need to do it efficiently. We all use these products, and what better than to have them here in Minnesota, as an example, where we are today, the most rigid, safeguards, safety standards, environmental standards, to use this energy to create a better lifestyle for all of us, right? So really, it's let's build it here. Let's keep the jobs here. Let's have flourishing economies instead of somewhere else in the world.
Yeah. Do you Ryan said that you were very risk adverse, but
pipelines aren't risky. No.
Yeah.
No, they're the safest.
They're the
Well,
safest.
and I would that's where my question is going. Stop it, Ryan. I'm trying to do a podcast. But in all honesty, people are listening. This is going to go out on the internet, and so either 3 people will listen, or 30, 300, 30,000, 3 million. That's the cool thing about the technology that we have today. But my question for you is, being risk adverse and talking about that, does the risk, is there a way to do it safely? That's my question.
Absolutely, right? I wish I could say up here that everything in the world is safe, right? But we take calculated risks from an engineering perspective. I'm an engineer by education anyway. Everything we do has a risk in our life, right? We can choose to not get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
We can choose to not jump in our car and go to work. But as an example, you jump in your car. The car has been built and designed to withstand quite a force and impact. If we happen to have an accident, we put our seatbelt on. That's another safety or risk minimization that we use. We drive the speed limit. We stay between the white line and the yellow line, if you will. So. I would never guarantee that anything is, everybody's definition of safe is different. So I don't want to, say, yes, it's safe, no, it's not safe, things like that. But it is the safest when you consider the tremendous volume of whether it be natural gas or crude oil, Pipelines have proven, for well over 100 years, we've moved to taking that material from above ground transportation, trucks, trains, whatever it might be, putting it underground in enormous quantities of gas and petroleum are moved underground in pipelines. Pipeline safety record year over year, when you look at per barrel, per mile transported, far and away are the safest way to get the material from wherever it's produced to wherever it's needed, to where people live.
I think that's something that people really need to look into. I don't think it's that hard to find out. You just Google it. So, Ryan, one more question that you would have for Paul.
Not necessarily a question, more just, with our history with Enbridge, it's just been awesome. I mean, we, later when I present, we're going to talk about how we went national this year and bringing in Resolution Copper out of Arizona, and, we brought on Perpetua out of Idaho. But that wouldn't have been possible without Enbridge being with us, because they were one of our founding members. We helped advocate for the Line 3 replacement project, and after that was completed, they needed some assistance in advocating for Line 5 with some of their other stakeholder groups in Wisconsin and Michigan, and which allowed us to change up our logo. We used to have a Minnesota-centric logo, and that gave us justification to change it up. And literally, Enbridge has been a pipeline for us to bring in, different partners from outside the state. And
I see what you did there.
And
that was
a lot
pretty
of,
good.
and I owe basically all that to Paul. I mean, I found it, for him literally taking a risk on us, because there was definitely some skepticism by many, both in the state and outside the state, of, okay, well, why would you invest in a NGO that's based out of Duluth?
Yeah.
When you're trying to get a project in Michigan permitted. And so it's just been fun working for Enbridge and doing messaging for them.
Yeah.
And if I could add to that, Ryan's right. It started as a Northeast Minnesota-based mining and again, a pipeline project we had here in northern Minnesota as an example, but really it's scalable, right?
Yeah.
The message is the message. It resonates wherever you live.
I'm from Pennsylvania, and I'm sitting here with you guys.
So really that's the beauty of it, right? With online technology and trying to get messages out, it's not just our backyard, it's everybody's backyard.
That's
We have
right.
the best environmental standards in the world right here in North America and Canada and the U.S. There's the plethora of opportunities of minerals and natural resources right here in our backyard.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous advantage, or a tremendous opportunity continues to be in front of us to get some of these projects to go.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're listening, that line there that Paul just said, it's not our backyard, it's your backyard. That's where this is at. And so if you care about your backyard, if you care about your life, if you care about your town, your city, your state, that's why Better in Our Backyard as an organization is so important, because the work that you guys are doing to make a difference. And you're really investing in making people aware. And all of these people here who are on the board are doing that same thing, and all of the people that are in attendance tonight. Paul, thank you so much for sitting down and having this conversation with us. And I want to just tie into one more thing that you said. You talked about risk, and people need to understand this. Earlier we were talking about nuclear power. Now we're talking about a pipeline. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and you made the statement, the safest way. Listen, these are things that we have to do. If I wanted to be absolutely safe, I would never get up and go to work every day. Mike Rowe says that safety is third. And so, first you got a job to do, second you need to make money, and third you need to be safe. And so you are talking about evaluating risk, looking at it, and doing it the safest way possible, the things that you have to do. And that's what people need to realize about mining, pipeline, power, energy, all of that.
Absolutely. So. Well, and also too, Josh, you told me that you wanted me to ask a question to Paul, and I just thought of one. But Paul, what do you think is a bigger issue? The NGOs trying to stop a project, or federal permitting?
Good question.
Well, I think they're connected.
I think so too.
If I could not answer your question, but try to answer it. Obviously, whenever there is political pressure, if you will, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, to use a saying from my father. Whenever there's politics, whenever there's lawsuits likely, or threats of lawsuits, it really does cause, I think, our permitting agencies to dot every I and cross every T. That needs to be done, don't get me wrong, but sometimes we get into maybe a cycle that I like to refer to as, paralysis by analysis, right? It's always
that's good.
Something more, it's one more thing, it's, we should look at this too, because again, certain groups throw everything, if you will, at the wall. And it's our responsibility and the agency's responsibility to look at each issue that people bring up and address it. But at some point, you have to move forward.
Yeah.
Let the process be, work the process, let the process work. But unfortunately, in many instances, and I don't care what you're trying to build nowadays, if it would be a pipeline or a power line or a solar panel field or a wind farm, we've gotten really good at saying no.
Yeah.
Right. The process, the NEPA reviews and whatnot, has gotten very good at coming up with reasons of why we can't do something instead of let's do something. Right.
Well, and I think the other thing is, it's not about can't, because we have to. We're now at a place where we have to do these things. So, Paul, thank you so much for having this conversation with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.